Um, so I just wanted to go over a few integration items just to make sure that we're all aligned on how to integrate with Sardine. And I know you've already started in Sandbox, so interrupt me with any questions or if there's anything else you want to make sure we cover.
Okay.
That sounds good. So from an integration standpoint, there's really three elements to the integration with Sardine. The first one is our front-end SDK, which collects all the device information and behavior of the user as they go through your application. The second component is the backend API call. And I know you've already started making some customers API calls.
Yes.
This is used to send us PII about the user, so their name, date of birth, address, SSN, etc. And then we link with the device data using the session key to return real-time risk assessment. So you would get a risk level in the API response of low, medium, high, very high that you can use to make a decision if you're going to approve or not that particular user. And then the last piece is the feedbacks API. So this is async from the actual risk assessment. This is used to tell us what the result was for that particular event. And so if we're talking about an onboarding event, did you approve or decline that user? If we're talking about a transaction event, did that transaction settle? Was there a chargeback on that particular transaction, and so on? And so this allows us to label the data on our end. And that labeling is used to provide wishers with metrics around the performance of the different rules in the system. It's also used to automatically blocklist fraudulent users, as well as continues to improve our ML machine models.
Is this feedback real required, or can be used or no? We must send you feedbacks.
Correct. So feedback data is required.
Okay. What must be sent in this feedback requests? We must send you this feedbacks, or you send us.
So you send us the
yes,
feedback
we
request.
send us. We send you. What we must send.
Yep. So if we're talking about if I can find an example, sorry, let me just bring up.
Here. Session say, okay.
So as an example, if we're talking about an onboarding event,
yes,
the data you would send us is the session key, the flow information that was provided with that initial onboarding event, the customer ID, and then you let us know if the onboarding was approved or declined, basically.
Approved or declined. Okay.
If we're talking about a transaction event, it could be again, if the transaction was, if there was a chargeback event on that transaction, or if it was again also approved or declined on your end before even moving forward with the transaction.
Can we now in MVP use only onboarding?
Okay,
events, and transaction will be later.
later. Okay. So then, yeah, it's just once you've gotten the risk assessment from Sardine and made your determination, you would let us know if you approved or declined.
Mhm. A time in this event request must be feedback request must be when we send feedback or when was this uh, customer uh, API sent.
So this is when you made the decision. So when you're sending.
When we send this request.
Mhm.
Mhm. And times are also required everywhere
Correct.
in receipt. Mhm. Okay. Um, questions about variants of verification. Email, phone, SSN, uh, PP, sanctions, etc.
Mhm.
They all are included in our request, or I must send what I want to prove.
Yes, they are included. So I've
They are
uh,
included.
this morning I set up your Sandbox account, so it should now work for
Mhm.
phone, email, sanctions, PEP, SSN,
Mhm.
and that's it.
And about SSN, this is there is one question that if we ask user to give us full SSN, uh, they can not like this. Uh, if we want, if it is possible to make last for digits of SSN. Or,
I'll follow up internally. It's just right now we don't support last four. I think there's work
Mhm.
ongoing, but it might not be available right away.
Mhm.
So currently, it would be the full SSN.
Okay. This that is all question from me. Maybe Vitaly has questions about SDK. Okay.
So one more uh, couple other questions from me is
Mm-hmm.
for the onboarding.
Mm-hmm.
Are you looking to also include document verification?
Alexei, we are looking for document verification or not?
Uh, do you
I
mean
think
some
in
passport
MVP
or
no.
license drive?
Maybe later.
Okay. So if
Do
not
you
an
mean
MVP,
sorry? Do you mean some passport or license drive?
correct.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Also, do you mean just a number of that, or just a scan copy or photocopy?
Uh, yeah, what I mean is you would present your user with a URL where they go and take a picture of their passport or driver's license, take a selfie, and then we validate that it's a true passport and we match the selfie with the image on the of the document.
I think it will be not necessary, but probably it will be changed in time. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
not sure in exact option which we need. But for the first time, I think it will be enough. Just simple, very simple verification.
Okay, that's fine. So no document verification for the MVP.
Yeah.
And you're not looking to do um, business verification, right?
Actually, we are working now with Candid because they are specified on non-profits. uh, non-profits. It's not a business like non-profit companies, but they are registered as non-profit, and the this process, KYB process, is very simple. Like they just choose own organization from the database, and it will be possible to check just if this organization exists or not, and other information about this organization, like some EIN number and some other number, address, or a communication manager who is responsible for this organization, something like this. So currently we are using this API, but as I know, Chase wanted to integrate also Sardine instead of this.
Okay. Because if you, for the MVP, if you're looking to use Sardine KYB, I just need to get that set up on your account. So it just depends if you want it for MVP or not.
It is easy to. Is it easy to change this setup?
Yeah, it can be done at a later stage if you need it. It just takes
we
a few days
not owners of this product, and we can't make a decision to use Sardine or Candid.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to ask Chase today. We will know more.
Sure, no worries.
Mm-hmm.
So then the last piece on my end I wanted to validate, or a couple of last items I wanted to validate is, so for the SDK, so it is part of your contract. It's not required, but strongly recommended for onboarding, because it means you get additional signals from the user to evaluate the risk. So are you planning to have the SDK as part of your MVP?
Yes, I think.
And which is your application web-only native app?
It's web app mostly. We use native app, but it's a wrapper about around the web version.
Okay.
So I think JavaScript version must work on all platforms.
Do you want to leverage our NPM package?
Yes.
Okay. I'll follow up with. So we have private packages, but I'll give you your access token, so you can install the web SDK. A couple of callouts around the web SDK is one around the session key design. So the session key is how we link the front end data with the customer.
Session key must be made on backend or on front end.
Recommendation is
backend. Is backend, and I will send it to Vitaly. And this session key might be UE for this string, like all IDs and tokens.
Yeah, it can be a UID, it can be any format.
UID.
The couple of recommendations we have, or requirements, is it should be short-lived. The session key shouldn't last multiple days. So basically it's from log in to log out of a user, and if they're inactive for typically more than 30 minutes, you should refresh the session. And obviously the other requirement is that it should be unique to a user and device. So you shouldn't share sessions across users or device.
Mhm. So on the front end, I get the session key, collect data,
Mm-hmm.
and pass this data back to backend with session key, right?
Yes.
That's correct. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So when you initialize the SDK in the front end, you set the session key that you get from the backend. And in the backend API call, they also pass the same session. And so having that match, we can link the data together.
Okay.
The final piece for the web SDK is we have a subdomain or CNAME approach, primarily because at the end of this year, browsers are not going to allow third-party cookies anymore. And so we want to make sure that our cookie data is tied to the wishes domain rather than the Sardine one. And I'll forward you the documentation details around it. But it's something we want to consider. Obviously, it's not a must for the MVP, but something that we want to make sure is put in place before the end of the year.
Question about webhooks and events from you to us. I saw that you have this, but this is only for documentation improvement or for something else too?
So it's also for queues and alerts. So within the Sardine dashboard, the wishes team can review onboarding sessions and have alerts triggered if there's a certain risk level that they want to do manual review. And we would send you webhook events to let you know that alert was triggered and if the manual review approved or declined a user. So it's really up to the wishes team to confirm if they want to manage this and if they want the data to feed back to the backend.
Results about KYC are not are in the response of request, not in events. If
so the
without document.
So the let me see if I have an example. I don't think I have an example. The KYC result is provided in the customer API response.
Oh, okay.
But wishes can then also do manual review after that, where they might approve or decline a user based on their manual review. And that's what would be sent through the webhook event. So not required, but if the wishes team wants to use queues and alerts, and they want that data to feed back to their backend, you will need to set up webhooks.
Okay, thank you. I think this is all.
Yep. So the last item is just to call out that since you're using our device SDK, you need to make sure the privacy policy is updated, and that is probably more for the wishes team, but making sure, the privacy policy calls out that you're using a third-party provider to collect device data. But then from a timeline perspective, do you have a target go live date on your end?
I think it should be done in our launching should be start in about 2 weeks.
Okay. So it means you already have access to Sandbox, and you've already started making calls.
Yeah, yes, to Sandbox. And how we will may have receive access to Leaf?
Yep. So for production environment, we have to go through the validation stage. And so what this means is we want to validate in Sandbox the onboarding API calls. So we'll ask you to provide us with session keys for some test sessions you've made in Sandbox. We will review those and validate that all the data is mapping and running as it should. And if it's all validated, we provide you with your production credentials. So you should account for maybe a couple of iterations here, so maybe 2 or 3 days just to get things validated and fixed before you get the production keys.
Okay.
Any other questions?
No,
No.
I have no questions.
Sounds good. Well, I appreciate the time, and I'll follow up on Slack with some quick notes from today. And feel free to send me any questions you have over Slack as you continue with the integration.
Okay. Thank you, Alex.
Great. Thank you all.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Have a good evening. Goodbye.
Bye.